Hi guys, welcome to another AMA. Glad to have you all here. I think what I'll do is my usual shtick of asking to make sure that everyone can hear me. Can everyone hear me there in the Telegram chat? Can someone give me a wave? Okay, I'm just going to proceed anyway. Okay, so we've got an interesting edition of the AMA for you this week. We've an expanded chat with Diego of Seedling and Marv of Cherish. And we are going to, just kind of go over some of the things that have kind of not been examined as much in the past few AMAs, which actually have been asked about by members of the community in the recent past as well. What I'm going to do now is hand you over to Herman for the core updates. I think he's traveling at the moment, so maybe his connection might be a bit spotty, but hopefully we'll get some interesting pearls of wisdom and information from Herman about what's going on in the engine room of the Cherry project. Herman, are you there?
Yes, hello. So thank you. Welcome once again to this AMA. I'm this day two, reaching you guys from quite a remote place. I've been traveling quite a lot the past 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to finally get, probably be meeting some of you people at Web Summits in a few weeks. But after that, certainly go back into my basement and do some more hard work. Though I haven't been super focused on more day-to-day things in Cherry, we have very interesting prospects that I've been personally pursuing in these travels. I hope to tell you more about those as they unfold. Once again, I do apologize if my connection isn't great. I've instructed Owen to just cut me off if it gets unbearable. Of those things that I can tell you is that the core is progressing fine. I did mention last time that EVM would be a bit slower than it, mainly for quite an obscure reason. It's not anything functional. It's not a matter. It's more of a matter of convenience of having the EVM parachain, as that's the way our deployed, run with the same base coin with which people will be paying for network resources such as transactions, the submission of transactions, have that currency be the same as that of Cherry Network. Polkadot doesn't do this by default. Each parachain has their own native coin. It then does allow certain methods of transferring value from one to another, representing, let's say, the dot coin into another parachain and vice versa. It doesn't quite have a one-to-one connection between base coin. For that reason, users would have to trade probably in a fluctuating market, which isn't optimal whatsoever. When we say EVM compatible, we truly mean that anyone can just deploy as if they're using Ethereum with the very same Cherry tokens that they've purchased and been accustomed to use across the networks now on the Binance chain, Polygon, etc., and its wrap formed, and on the Cherry network mainnet. And so we are working on that. A solution is in line. There's presently many If you guys are interested in learning more, we can try and get one of the developers to tell you more about it. It's a bit over my head even. Or we had planned to do this, but I think we'll reiterate this once again. If you join the technical discussion and participate in the more hairy bits of programming Cherry and its ecosystem, I do invite you to join our development matrix server that's now open and welcoming engineers, primarily technical people. We'll try to keep it strictly formal in that matter. We won't accept the pleasant, however, not necessarily on topic, a conversation that happens on our other channels such as Telegram. But yeah, join there and ask there, or follow our GitHub. We do all this work publicly. Aside from that, there was a question about Cherry Labs, various projects. I won't get into the same spiel about what's taking so long. We're all aware of market circumstances, and I think that's been thoroughly explained that most of these either by our own indication or simply as directed by the respective teams of these various projects. These have caused delays in either procedure, so say slowing down the efforts, reducing capital available, but within a framework of continued work, or in the case of, for example, projects that were in a more advanced stage, such as Unigates, that has been, I think, one of the most exciting things that I've worked on within the Cherry ecosystem the first quarter of this year. Though that is done, and it does form, the product owners there simply have decided to delay its release for no other reason but to obtain a better market fit, a better splash, if you will, upon launch. There are other situations like this. There are others that continue regardless. Original Factory, you've heard from Lewis last week. That's a project that I think can weather any sort of crypto winter. It's a sound project. It's nimble and quite asymmetric from the various circumstances that would make them act otherwise. Cherish is certainly the one I'm most focused on now. We've shifted most of our lab's attention to it to get it as advanced stages as possible in as quick as a time for a variety of reasons. One to get this project that's been in the works for over a year now delivered, but also to do that in a manner that is scalable and economical. We expect that through the work from the past few months, it'll be viable. We'll be making money, expanding it, and probably with repercussions far beyond Cherry Network to host its beginnings, to sort of cradle this very interesting and exciting project, but we truly Cherry Network, though it does remain committed to using its decentralized technology, Cherry ecosystem into, hopefully, the way I see it's a global brand, as it does offer a unique value proposition that I truly think is direly needed in this landscape of quite restrictive and censorship and censorful social media. So that's that. I've been talking for a lot. If you guys have any questions, as always, I'll be happy to answer them. I also have to say that it's been 2 years since we first came up with Cherry Network, Bora, Romeo, and I. It's been quite a rocky ride. It took a year of head down building. We didn't involve anyone. We got a few engineers from our prior ventures and spent the first, about a year just privately building. We did do a very fine raise about 8 months in. So if you're a longtime member or of Cherry, you probably have joined then. But nonetheless, it's good to reminisce a bit of the history of Cherry and this 2-year long path that led us here today. I won't do that now. I don't think it's the right medium. We are planning a post. Don't expect it to be super detailed about timeline wise or what we've done when, but mostly covering the various ideas and how Cherry as a project, as a vision, as a broader objective, unifying efforts, both engineering and almost ideological, all came together in the past 2 years, and how it unfolded during this period and the future, though, again, not specific to timelines, not specific to various projects we'll be pursuing, but rather everything in context of a vision of broader objectives. So do expect that. I think writing is quite time consuming and not easy to do while on travel. It will take a few days, but I'm looking forward to writing that, and I'd love to hear you guys' feedback once it's out. With that, guys, if you have any questions, ask. Otherwise, have a good evening or good night, morning, whichever.
Thank you very much, Herman. And good moment to wherever you are at the moment. I think the questions that we had were pertaining to a lot of the things that you mentioned. Someone asked the question regarding the token or tokens that would be in the network, specifically with regards to network fees, and would that be the same? So I think it's quite encouraging that you guys are spending the time on making sure that this is the same, that there is a degree of consistency and coherence in the various assets that underpin the entire network. So that's good to hear. And of course, congratulations to the founders on what has been, I'm sure, quite an exciting couple of years. It was a few months, a good few months before I became involved, and even at that point, there had already been a huge amount of work done. So, I'm looking forward to reading that, as well as I'm sure the rest of the community are. One question that we had is actually something that I'm going to cover in part after Herman actually pretty much already addressed the latter part. So I think do we have the notes up on the stream already, guys? Do we have them there, John? Okay, much appreciated. Okay, so I'll give a bit of an update, just in support of what Herman said there. As Fran asked there, so with regards to the fourth point in our business update, we are currently undergoing a kind of regularization and standardization of how, and a proper structuring of how Cherry Labs as a venture studio actually operates. It hasn't been a top priority until now, mainly because the priority has actually been the actual ecosystem projects. So in a way, it was more of an ad hoc venture effort. Projects like Unigate or Cherish, because they're not as numerous as the full range of projects that we are onboarding into our business process at the moment, it meant simply that we didn't really require the kind of regularized structures for interfacing with other teams that want to build in the Cherry network. That wasn't as much of a priority. But given the fact that, for example, we have all these capabilities on chain and within the Cherry stack at the moment, it's become more pressing, and that's something that we're looking at with as well with some of our senior advisors in terms of how to actually build Cherry Labs out into a more open-facing and more transparent as well. Also, yeah, to increase the transparency of it, a more formalized venture shop. So I'm hoping that this will start to unfold over the next couple of weeks in tandem with our preparation for the Web Summit in Lisbon from the 2nd, I believe, to the 6th of November, which many of the team will be attending. As Herman said, hopefully there'll be a couple of community members there that we can chat to. But also, I know myself from my contacts on the management team of Web Summit itself that there'll be a big focus on blockchain and crypto and DLT, Web3, whatever you want to call it, this year at Web Summit. One of my friends who's a manager there says that it will probably take over the main spotlight of the entire event. Because as you guys have seen, even despite the bearish conditions in the market, there has still been a tremendous amount of energy and a tremendous amount of interest, and ever widening scope of interest from various sectors and various verticals and various communities over the past year, which means that even though, on a more optimistic note, even though we've had a lot of turbulence in the wider economy, in the geopolitical sphere, and also especially in crypto, downward turbulence, to be fair, I think that this is really a good time within the industry. People are optimistic, and when things start to tick up again, I think we're going to really see a bigger takeoff in terms of business activity and wider market adoption than we've ever seen before in crypto. So Cherry Labs needs to be ready for that, and I suppose one of the first steps for this would indeed be our interactions with other people and VCs and companies at Web Summit in a few short weeks. So that's quite exciting. On top of that, just to go back to the start of my notes there, the deepening of ecosystem ties, and as we come towards launch, or as things are already launching, for example, Original Factory, there is a ramp up of interaction and an intensification of interaction and collaboration between the core Cherry team and these other peripheral teams or external teams in the case of Unigate. That has been ramping up and intensifying. As Herman explained, the guys at Unigate are really waiting for the right time to make a splash. Be a good way to put it. I think that we can hopefully anticipate that this will come sooner, much sooner rather than later. And encouragingly, the actual infrastructure of Unigate has not only just been built, but it has also been being used on a B2B level, and will soon be launching to B2C. The same goes for Cherish, that there needs to be and there has been a lot of work done by the likes of Marvin in collaboration with other team members of the upping the ante as we approach the takeoff of the platform itself, and Marv will talk more about that in a few minutes. And in terms of personnel within Cherry, we've, as Herman said, hired quite a few people in the past few months. And now it's a question of adding those to the standardized business and developer functions that we spent most of the summer working on. So we have our Kanbans, we have our methodologies, we have our teams planned out. People have more defined roles, whereas things were more haphazard earlier on in the year, just purely due to the fact that it was such a new project. So now we're at the scale up phase in many ways. We wouldn't be even classed as a startup in some people's eyes. And the scale up phase is something that's very exciting for the team, and of course for our community and investors, big and small. This is something that we want to see really take off well. Also, on top of that, on a more practical note, we're standardizing the marketing communications. I think I spoke about this before, but due to the fact that there's been so much going on the core side, we can't really, or weren't able to anticipate when there'd be big announcements, etc. But now that things are more on the straight and narrow, we can kind of aim to have our newsletter out on a certain day and our updates from ecosystem projects out on another. And we have actually been good for always sticking to Wednesday around this time for our AMAs. But this also has knock-on effects internally, in that we want to be able to communicate with our larger investors, or the big investment firms, on a regular basis as well. So I think that's everything, apart from the new media initiatives. I know we have someone listening in today who's been kind of waiting to really get going with quite a promising and interesting media drive for us. So I'm going to be able to have enough time to follow up with that. And that's something that the community can look forward to within the next week or so. I think you'll start to see that hitting the presses, so to speak. Okay, I've been talking a bit too long there. So I think what we'll do is I'll hand you over to Marvin. Marvin's going to go through his notes. We'll then lead you on to Diego. And then I think we're going to have our quiz. I think John has put in some time in making a nice quiz for us. And what we're going to do is, I'll actually have to just check to make sure that if there wasn't last week's winner announced, I'll try and get to that this evening. I think they were, but I'm not sure. But prizes for today and last week will probably go out in the next 12 to 24 hours. I think everybody up until now has been covered in terms of prize money being sent out for the quizzes, and best of luck with that in a few minutes. So without further messing around, I'm just going to hand you over to Marvin, and he's going to give us his Cherish update.
Hey guys, thanks for the introduction, Eoghan. As you said, I'm going to be talking about Cherish. Well, at Cherish, on the business side, onboarding continues at pace. We're signing up new creators every day. We're really excited when we introduce Cherish to them and our ideas and things we've already been creating. Then for those who've paid attention, Cherish Update 2 has been released. So you guys can have some more insight on some of the pages that we're creating, specifically the Cherish creator and discovery pages, how you guys will interact with them, how creators will interact with them, and how that dynamic will work for the creators, hopefully making a living off of Cherish. Then, as Herman mentioned, we are going ahead and speeding ahead with Cherish's development, thanks to the help of some of the team members supporting us in our efforts, and thanks to Herman supporting us. So that is looking really good, and we are really, really excited to start showing you guys some of the sneak peek fixtures and screenshots of how everything's going to look like and how everything's going to come to form to be. So be on the lookout for that for sure. And then as we are approaching our launch date, that's not really been set out, but we are making more diversified marketing plans so we can compete with bigger platforms and slowly make our way to the top and get millions and millions of users, hopefully. I think you can see that from last week's exchange listing. We've got our eyes on some other things coming up soon, so be on the lookout for that for sure. And that's about it for Cherish. I'll hand you over to Diego.
Hello, guys. Thank you, Marvin. Another Wednesday here with you all. Today, I'll go over three main points, as you can see on the video, and as I usually do. First will be the projects. Secondly, I'll go through updating the update on our documentation, explanation document, walkthroughs, etc., and the new refreshing Git book. And I'll finally give a brief overview of what to expect in the next upcoming weeks. So, starting with projects, as usual, the most important part due to the nature of Seedling. So, XP market went very well. The ticket size was smaller than usual, obviously, due to the condition of the round, getting in at what I personally think is the most risk-adverse contribution round of all, carried the condition of it being a small ticket. Seedling team did state a couple of times this was a great opportunity and how we recommended those people to try and be on time to contribute. So congratulations to those that did get in. XP Market just closed their seed round, if I'm correct, and is now opening their private rounds, which sets us up in a very good position regarding other investment groups. We have actually read some people that were looking to invest on another round. We have pushed a poll. Personally, I think private one carries a larger risk at a higher valuation. So unless there is a huge consensus regarding this aspect, we believe the best option is to simply wait for the next opportunity. Again, it's difficult to find this kind of opportunities, but I think the research side of Seedling has been working and is working very efficiently and bringing not only very good opportunities as of projects, but in a very accessible manner. In other words, just with a few Seedling tokens, you have access to very valuable early stage projects. I know most of you guys have big allocations reserved in your Seedling accounts, but for those that don't have too much, remember to lock or burn your Seedling tokens to have a chance to get in the investments. You can do that straight away, no need to wait until the project is announced, since that will give you less time and less opportunity to build up your allocation access. And this brings me to the next point, documentation. I have seen a couple of users who I believe couldn't get in XP Market, most of them due to time, as it sold out very quickly, but some seem like they still didn't understand our peculiar allocation system or how to invest in these early stage projects. We understand our model of allocation is different to the rest and has a more sophisticated system. And therefore, we are updating our Git book and documentation for you guys to easily read and understand one of the main differentiators of Seedling and what makes us so unique. This will be updated in the next few days. We have also prepared some walkthrough step-by-step tutorials so you guys feel more comfortable and understand how to invest. I'm not sure how or where we will publish this, but this will be done very soon. And finally, what should we expect from Seedling in the upcoming days and weeks? Well, last week or the week before that, we explained how our approach towards selection and diligence of projects has changed in this market, putting a bigger weight on the financial information, but most specifically to valuations and entering the correct round of projects, looking for the most risk-adverse rounds and those with biggest chance to become successful. So this has not changed. This is still our approach today, and we have been contacting loads of projects on a daily basis. We've been having back-to-back meetings and reviewing how to get in these rounds. So definitely do expect more very interesting opportunities soon. We have also been working on the background on our strategy towards community and how to make this grow on this side and how to build up from the different perspectives. And the first part of the already mentioned marketing campaign is advanced. It's on an advanced stage, and we will try and provide more information soon. This is all I can say today, guys. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday, and I'll leave you with Eoghan as usual. Thank you.
Thanks, Diego. That's fantastic. Yeah, I think it's kind of a particular thing with Seedling that we've put a lot of effort into making the actual, especially Diego and Lupiter and other people have put a lot of effort into designing really the most I would say advanced, or one of the most advanced launchpad systems in the Web3 space. So it's good for people to be able to access really good information on how this works. But I would always say to people to do your own research and things like that as well. And that if you have questions about how things work, you do have to be proactive and ask us as to what is going on specifically, because we can't always know exactly what kind of information you're lacking. So if you are unsure about how things work with Seedling or anything else, you can always ask questions. And if we can answer, or if we're able, or if it's not sensitive information, then we'll always answer as soon as possible. Okay, guys, I think we've covered everything. I'm just going to have a very quick look to see if there's been any questions in the chat. In the meantime, I don't think there were. And if not, we'll throw you over to John, and he will proceed with the quiz. So, okay, Herman, are you ever at home? I'm not going to answer that question. Herman can answer himself. But Herman is a man about town, jet setting around a lot. So, yeah, he travels a lot. Okay, yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's all the questions. Any other questions, of course, you can just post in the chat. We'll probably get around to them at some point soon. So, with all that being said, I'll thank you. I'll wish you all a good moment, and we'll proceed with the quiz. I think John will freeze the chat, and we'll ask those questions. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll announce the winners later today, and then get your prize money over to you as soon as possible. Okay, thank you very much for joining, guys. An enjoyable AMA, and I hope to speak to you all very soon.